What makes wrestling prep unique? So if I just reduce down to the three elements of a community or an open system: identity, information, relationships. The identity of wrestling prep is we're great, and we're great because we are a group of lots of individual greats. We have a mission, we have a purpose, and other really reputable wrestling clubs and organizations also have an identity that are completely congruent with our own. So I'm not taking away from folks that also have mission and purpose, a set of shared values. I think we might go just a little bit further, or not further as in better than others, but just in terms of uniqueness. And part of it is in the information. I think, for example, sometimes Carolyn might be discounted as the quality of coach she is, but I used to call her the wrestling whisperer, because it just amazed me how she could help kids that were unskilled or maybe mediocre on the mat and turn them into skilled and confident athletes, and take kids that were skilled and confident athletes and turn them into contenders, and take kids that were contenders and turn them into Olympic hopefuls. No matter where someone comes, they move to another level, and to me that's exceptional. Same can be said of other wrestling communities, so I'm not taking away from other wrestling communities, but I do think it's a uniqueness that wrestling prep has. And then probably the piece that's really stand out for me is the relationships. We have an annual banquet, and we ask people to stand up and share from the heart a little bit. And really what we're looking for there is for people to tell their own story. We're not looking for praise, we're not fishing for compliments, we're not looking for people to stand up and spend 2 to 5 minutes telling the world how much they love Carolyn or the other contributors to wrestling prep. We're looking for them to tell their own story. But what I find is when listening to those stories, I hear a set of shared values. People are starting to say the same sorts of things. And it's something to be discovered rather than for me to just list what I hear. The next opportunity someone has to come to one of our more social type of events, like our annual banquet, it's revealing. And I'm being a bit long-winded again, but what it shows me is from that identity, from those shared values, from the information that's available, relationships develop. And those relationships have bonds that go past the point of graduating high school, past the point of graduating college or university, and and go past even just wrestling. I mean, it's interesting to me how we now have developed significant relationships in the MMA community. That to me just surprised me. Where did that come from? And it's because of the other things. Like people can see us from the outside and say, I can't necessarily label it or put words to describe what they're all about, but it's cool. Like I'm all about what they're all about, even though I can't quite describe it. And that's just another form of relationships. Relationships between all the contributors to wrestling prep and the families of the athletes, the athletes themselves, and their worlds. And I think this has big effect because I remember when I was a teenager, social acceptance was more important than oxygen, right? And so. And the pressures that today's youth are facing are different than the pressures that I faced. Sure, drugs and alcohol, promiscuous sex, and in some places where I live, violence, were all part of the growing up experience. But I think it's amplified in today's world, and really the teenage years when I grew up, there's no comparison to what kids are going through today. And I point that out because it's not, there's nowhere else that I can point to in a teenager's support system, whether it's school, or family structure where they get such a clear example of how to relate to the people around them. And that can come down to a very simple concept of becoming comfortable saying no and being okay hearing no. In today's world of social media and deriving all kinds of meaning from 150 character text, the quality of relationships that we have changed. And the way we communicate has changed. And but the values that underpin relationships and what it means to have character and to be accountable and for your word to mean something, none of that's changed. These are universal and time eternal. And I think one of the things that we do to help, that makes us unique, is that as a result or an effect of how we approach this instrument or vehicle of wrestling, the kids that are a part of our community learn how to relate to other people a bit better. So this question of relationships goes far beyond just the family unit or the coach-athlete relationship. It goes to the relationship that wrestler has with the people in their life outside of the wrestling community. Because tomorrow they're going to be at school and they're going to be faced with problems that I can't even relate to. But maybe we can, maybe they've developed a little bit stronger character as a result of being a part of our group, so that they are self-governed and are able to self-direct themselves to decisions that will lead to healthier outcomes for the quality of their life and the opportunities that lie ahead of them.